Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an action-packed show for the next 65 plus minutes. We have two topics we're going to get into, one of which is a story that comes the way of WindowsCentral.com, and it is surrounding Avowed. Now, as we all know, Avowed is getting a bit of a revival on the Xbox and on PC with a bunch of new things being added to it, like weapons, characters, and more importantly, a new game plus, which I cannot wait to get my hands on because it's a game that I played through once. I spent, according to my stats, 4 days, 14 hours, and 21 minutes playing on my one playthrough, and I am really jazzed to get back into it. Avowed was my personal game of the year in 2025. Like I said, there's no, should be no secret that Obsidian is one of my favorite RPG studios, but they're certainly one of my favorite Xbox game studios that they own and operate. And I believe that, there's a lot of forced and unnecessary hate. I know that there were some reports that came out of Microsoft's quarterly that the game underperformed, but we got some information that I think a lot of people don't know about the game and why a game that was budgeted politely has an opportunity to do some back-end sales, not only on Xbox, but when it releases for PlayStation 5. And I think it's actually going to do super well there. But let's welcome in our panel, and we'll get right into the show. First of all, General Spartan 27, thanks so much for not only offering to join, because obviously I'm usually here with C Money, but he is traveling. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Oh, man. Just a good gaming season. A whole bunch of games still to come. This is going to be an insane year. I'm thinking, is it going to be 2007 again?
It might actually be, sir. It might actually be. Yeah, no doubt about that. But we'll definitely appreciate you being here. And hot off the heels of bringing a new family member into the fold, Chaos Lounge. It's great, dude, to have you back, man. We haven't had you on the show in a minute, and I know you're gonna have a lot to say on the topics. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling really good. Just really happy. We just got a new puppy, as I was saying. So, yeah, just living the dream. Gaming, puppies.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, folks, we're here. You're going to see a lot of smiles today. You're going to see a lot of laughing. That's what we're supposed to do on these podcasts. That's what we do here at Double Barrel Gaming. But let's open up. You know what? I didn't even give you the spiel for topic number 2. So before we get into topic 1, topic number 2 is going to be a very interesting one because it's going to be one that we're going to involve the community in. I don't have a poll ready to go. I might actually do a poll while the guys are talking because it gives me an opportunity to work behind the scenes besides welcoming in everybody. But the second topic of the show is going to be a question for the panel, a question that I already have an answer to, and a question for the chat. And that is why you are excited for Xbox in 2026. I have a big detailed answer, which we will get into when we get to that second topic. Shout out to Nino Vistic, who has already gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That's very kind of you. And if you didn't know, he does this pretty much every show. So, Nino, thank you so much, brother, for the incredible generosity. And we appreciate you being here. So if you, in fact, did get that gifted sub for Double Barrel Gaming, please thank this man in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated from me, for sure. But, gentlemen in chat, I want to bring in an article that I have in front of me that was written by Michael Hugland of WindowsCentral.com. So, and that's a very interesting title. It's a game that we just talked about moments ago where it was my game of the year 2025. Of course, that is Avowed from Obsidian. Why I fell in love with that game is for everything that Obsidian knows how to do when it comes to making a ginormous RPG. That's the best way I could describe it. Their RPGs, their characters, their stories are all memorable, and they have a knack of making you want to continue your journey in their RPGs. But it's not just from A to B to C. No, the way they tell their stories, the open-endedness of the way that they create their maps makes you want to veer off in many directions. And usually, at least for me and people like Infinite Umbra who play the games exactly the same, we always look to the right or to the left. And when we see that shiny object in the very far distance, rather than continue on the regular story's path, we seem to veer off and find other new stories. Well, if there's one thing about Avowed that I can say wholeheartedly, is that it does offer that and a bag of chips. So Michael goes on to write, and his title, Avowed's success shows how Game Pass can turn mid-budget RPGs into a hit. Now, I do want to read the actual posting from Windows Central regarding what they said on Twitter from WindowsCentralGaming.com. And that's how I found the story, just scrolling through my feeds. And it goes on to say, Avowed ended up being one of last year's most played games, and it was a quiet win for Obsidian and a reminder that mid-budget RPGs still hit when they're done right. The player numbers are way higher than most people expected. And they go on to say it's also a great example on how Game Pass can give a title long legs. Avowed didn't launch as a mega blockbuster, but it kept its players. And that, ladies and gentlemen, according to Windows Central, is the real story. So let me pull up the story here and let me read a little bit from it before we bring in our esteemed panel members. Michael goes on to say, when it comes to players on Xbox, Avowed managed to reach the top 20 played games in a single day, topping the likes of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. There's been a lot of talk of the success of Avowed, especially after the head of Obsidian, Fergus Urquhart, said that both Avowed and Outer Worlds failed to meet sales marks set by Microsoft. Sure, just a year ago, it was a report that Microsoft was happy with initial sales and player counts managed to reach higher than Indiana Jones, but that wouldn't be the first time Microsoft flipped its tone. Now, some rather fascinating news has come to the surface. Avowed reached the top 20 in single-day active users, matching up with other giants like Black Ops 7, Battlefield 6, Helldivers 2, and Fortnite. What makes this even more impressive is that Avowed is one of the few games on the list that isn't driven by online components. Games like Fortnite, Roblox, and Rainbow Six Siege X are all free-to-play games with major multiplayer events that take center stage. Avowed is free of all of these, existing purely as a single-player campaign. Now, I'm, of course, going to go first here to General Spartan. The one thing that, as a content creator, that really tries to push positivity in the work that we do here, it is frustrating and it is annoying as F to see how the trolls of Twitter, and again, this is no names here, folks, because you know how I feel about that. You don't want to embarrass anybody, and we ain't about that smoke. We're here to have fun. What annoys me is the most loudest in the PlayStation community who have their trophies hidden. You never know what games they're playing, but we know what game that they play regularly, and that's Twitter. And when the information came out from Amy Hood that it was reported and confirmed that both Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 didn't meet the internal sales expectations for Microsoft. Everyone that dislikes Microsoft and hates Xbox went out of their way to basically shit on these games. And, again, I can't confirm or deny this, but most of these people dumping on this game probably didn't play either of them. And that is ultimately, we could say the one thing I can say definitively is PlayStation Nation. Those cats didn't play Avowed because it's not coming out until this month, where it's going to have all of the, extra stuff that we all were hoping for, like New Game Plus. I actually think that the game is going to find new legs and a new audience on PlayStation 5. I really honestly believe that people that missed it when it released last year are going to pick up it now because, again, it's going to have some new things, some new weapons, some new characters. It's going to have New Game Plus. Spartan, I want to get your thoughts on some of the rhetoric coming out of social media about how this game was a failure. But in your opinion, you literally were just playing this game right before we went live. My question is why? Why play it? Is the game good?
I think it's a very good game. I mean, I've just been inundated with other games. Plus, throughout the year, I also had to do at work at random times. But even though my personal favorite of the year was Doom: The Dark Ages, but Avowed was in my top 5 for what I played of it. Now, these trolls, I don't even think they even played any of the PlayStation exclusives either. I actually beat Horizon Forbidden West and its expansion, Burning Shores. The media, I'd say this, the media needs, if Microsoft wanted to do something, to send a message to some of these folks in the media that love to just crap on its amazing, fun titles in the first party of Xbox, I would say you don't get no codes, you don't get any reviews, you don't get any previews. Heck, you don't even get any console previews. I would be giving them to people like you, Dirt, the people who have went to bat for Xbox at their worst, but have given them the smoke when they need it to be, as a matter of tough love. But these media trolls that just crap on the first party, and these are great games because, I'm playing them. I bought Avowed on what is now Loaded for cheap, and I still have and I'm still keeping my Game Pass to play all the other games. So I don't know what the media has a problem with Xbox, or is it they have a problem with Microsoft? But yeah, Microsoft has their issues. I give it that. But crapping on Xbox for no reason like this has no reason.
I mean, look, we know that for many, many years, Chaos Lounge, Xbox found themselves a bit behind the 8 ball when it came to first party. Now, this hasn't been, this generation. It certainly had a lot to do with what, went on with Xbox One and that generation about them only having a handful of studios. Well, the tides have turned in the last 5+ years because they own Bethesda, they own Activision, and they have an Xbox Game Studios stable that has nearly 30 freaking development houses. And they have some of the best in the business. Again, this is outside of what they have going on with ownership of Bethesda and Activision. My question to you regarding Avowed is: did you play it? Did you enjoy it, Chaos Lounge? And more importantly, what are your thoughts on this report?
I did play it. I did enjoy it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm really bad at finishing games. Just ask anyone in my chat. Literally, I am one of the worst at finishing games, but I do get around to it eventually. I think, Avowed is fine for what it's doing. It's, you know, in a universe that a lot of people seem to enjoy. I'm not particularly familiar with the Edge of Pillars of Eternity world, but in terms of what was on, you know, playable for Avowed, I personally liked it. I think it was a fine game. In terms of the report, I think a lot of people will just hate on Xbox for the sake of hating Xbox. I think what Phil Spencer said back then during that interview, where even if we released an 11 out of 10 game, people would still hate on it. And I think at this point, there is a lot of truth to that. And if you look at recently with Digital Foundry, who said we're just not going to cover Xbox anymore, and then the first bit of opportunity they get for Xbox bad, they start covering it again because it gets clicks, and that's it. It's all just for the clicks and media. They don't actually. I don't think half the people believe that Avowed is a bad game. I don't think half the people even bothered playing it, to be honest, because they're just looking at what the crowd is saying and just going on with it. Trolls will be trolls, but the media, I feel, is really bad at this as well, and they kind of push that narrative. And they know that if they say negative things about anything that's Xbox related, they'll get a lot of views. And I can't remember who actually tested this in the media, but they made a positive Xbox article, and it almost got a little traction, and then they made a negative Xbox thing, and they said this is why we do it, because it gets traction. And that's why you see companies like PC Gamer constantly doing it and crapping on games like Starfield, for example, because they know it's going to rile people up and get them the hate views, as some people call it. It's pretty awful. But in my opinion, Xbox right now is probably in the strongest position they've ever been. And they've got games coming out all over the place. You know, there's something for everyone. Game Pass is delivering. And Avowed is just, you know, getting ready for another major update. It's coming out for the PS5. There's no reason to really hate on this game. If you don't like it, fair enough. Not every game is going to be for everyone. But I just feel like, you know, the forced hate is literally, as it said, it's forced. And people just need to just grow up and move on, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, there's a couple of people in the chat that Avowed didn't vibe with. That doesn't make you a troll. Shout out to Nightwolf, as a matter of fact, great friend of the program. He's been with us since inception, and he didn't care for it too much. And you know what? That's okay. What do I always say, Nightwolf? Not every game is for every gamer. He thought the world was beautiful, but the combat was janky. And to some extent, some of the first-person melee was a bit janky. I actually played from a different perspective. I did go first-person, but I played as a magic user. I didn't use many weapons. This time around, when I start my new game plus, and you've heard me say this before, is I'm going to probably go from a third-person weapons-based character. Just out of curiosity, KS Lounge, how did you play the game?
Melee. I'm usually a melee player. My kid was playing magic because he's always caster type. He prefers magic. I always prefer to go melee in games. Something that's just grown up with me since MMO days. So when I'm playing games like these, I always tend to go melee. Sword, shield, maybe ranged weapon, but I'm not a magic user. Not a wizard.
Yeah, I mean, I started the game out with melee because that's how you really start. And I found myself when I started finding like the books and like the wands and stuff. I'm like, ooh, I kind of like the magic user. So I wound up going straight up magic user. But this time around, and that's the thing I really loved about Avowed. The story was yours to tell. It was very open-ended. Your choices did matter. You know, you could be, you know, a hero. You could be a villain. You can, you know, the outcome at the end changed based on what you did. For me personally, and you've heard me say this many, many times before, chat. I saw a lot of video from Jamie Moran, who played it from a third-person perspective, and he used melee. And after watching his gameplay, I'm like, my God, did I play this game wrong? The answer is, of course, no. But this time around, to get that different experience, I'm going to play at 40 frames, which I played originally because they give you 60, 40, 30. I always play in the middle. You get the kind of the best of both worlds. And I'm gonna of course do New Game Plus, so all of my stuff, all my stats stay. And I'm gonna play from a third person and melee aspect, which I'm super excited for. Again, this is a story that I thought was worth reading just based on some of the negativity that came out of the report earlier, this month, and late last month, that the quarterly came in for Microsoft, and this game, they expected higher revenue, and it just didn't meet it. Why didn't it meet the revenue? Is it because do we blame Game Pass for this, or what? I honestly don't know. I mean, Game Pass, we know that a lot of people subscribed to the service because of Avowed. You mentioned that you're not too familiar with Pillars universe, Pillars of Eternity, where this game was based on, Pillars 1 and 2. See, I'm right there with you, Chaos Lounge. I have no affiliation with it whatsoever because those are like ARPGs, and that's just not my thing. So I jumped into the Living Lands, not knowing anything about it, not knowing about the characters or the monsters or anything. And to say that I was more than pleasantly surprised by how this game hooked me just based on its combat, its storytelling, and it's, look, not to sound like an ass kisser or anything, but it's Obsidian. They are one of the best RPG makers in the business. I put them up against anybody. That goes for Bethesda. That goes for, In Exile. That goes for Square Enix. Some people are going to say, one way or another, and we all have different likes and dislikes. But Obsidian is one of my personal favorite RPG houses, and they have been for years. So again, I'm hoping that a story like this gets picked up by not only the other media outlets, because I do want to see some positive, reporting on this game. The game was phenomenal. Again, I think that it's safe to say that if you spend 4 days, 14 hours, and 20-something minutes playing a game, you probably like it. Unless you're a troll looking for clicks, where they say, you saw many of the stories come out where I put 5 days into Starfield and I hated it. You're a weirdo, man. Like, I know after like an hour if I like a game or not, and if I don't like it, I don't play it. Just like I don't hate watch anybody's podcast. If I don't like you, guess what, Johnny Cat? You're not going to get me to watch your shit. But listen, let me catch up on. Let me make sure I'm caught up on super chats here. We have a couple of them, so I want to get to those. And then we're going to get into this. This is a fun topic. The next topic is going to be something I really want to get the chat involved with. I want to get the panel involved with, and I think I personally have a lot to say on the matter. But JMac 800 in the chat. Shout out to you, brother. Great to see you here, and thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, I'm truly happy and excited for Xbox because they're dropping more ish than a pigeon. Xbox World Order is fully operational. Hashtag graybeards. Hashtag we be winning. Absolutely, brother. And you're not wrong. We are winning. I don't know how you first. Again, I have a whole spiel. It's almost like an evil genius kind of monologue, but get ready, folks, because I have some thoughts. Judah Ross in the chat says this after dropping a very generous $2 super chat. Judah says, I think my problems in Avowed are due to the hard mode. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that people in games media and the games community try to shun, like you see it happening. Oh, if you didn't play that game on hard, then why am I talking to you? Look, I play the games on normally. Like that's just whatever the standard difficulty it is. If I feel that because I have such limited time that I'm getting my teeth kicked in, perfect example of that is Expedition 33. It's a game that I was so happy with their story, so happy to support the studio because, like I said, I got the game in Game Pass, but I bought the deluxe edition because I'm one of those guys that stupidly, quote, support the developer. Like, you hear people make fun of them. I like supporting the devs. This is a game that had an incredible story, and it broke every barrier possible that you could imagine, and they won. They pretty much swept the awards. They got awards outside of the game awards. They sold a bazillion copies of it. Everyone's excited for that studio. I love stories like that. I don't know how you can't be a gamer and not want to support a studio like this, right? Like, so the long-winded answer is play the game how you feel comfortable playing the game. If a game is too hard for you, brother, put that shit on easy and have fun. I don't want to beat my head against the wall. I don't know if the chat agrees or not, but I'm not about that life. And even if I didn't have like the time constraints that I have, like for instance, here's an average day for Mr. Boomstick. I just got out of the gym after 2 hours. I'm dead. But I also got to clean the house, right? That's something I do because Mrs. Boom works. I also have to make a couple of shorts, do a live stream, cut it into video format, and then continue on with my life. I'm busy as H. And did you notice that not once in any of that shit I got to do today did I mention playing games? I've been stuck at chapter 8 for Final Fantasy 7, one of my favorite games of the freaking year. And I just don't have the time. And I know the violins for me are going to be super small, as they should, because I'm retired. But if I find a game that's too hard, I put that shit on easy. I don't care. I hope that answers your question, Judah Roars. Apologies for the long-windedness of it. But J-Mac drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says, in all honesty, I believe it's absolutely deplorable that an American company, Xbox, to get so much hate from Americans. Oh man, look, I think the Microsoft hate goes all the way back to the 80s, where they really weren't such a great company. The Bill Gates era. I mean, I know that he did a lot of him and his wife did a ton of charitable work. But Microsoft as a corporation, I mean, they're the richest. They're one of not currently the richest, but one of the richest companies. And, there's going to be some forced negativity, some forced hate because they're the most, they have the most money, they have the most headroom. But I think look, I don't really want to go down this path because I could be on this for an hour. The Xbox is dead thing. I know, like Paris, who's probably in the chat lurking, and of course we love the fact that he's here. He jokingly talks about it, right? He's being a bit facetious, with with Xbox is dead. But I'm sorry. I don't know who said it, or if I was reading it, maybe in the DM that's popped into my head. It doesn't matter what Xbox does. They're just never going to change the narrative. You know what? Let's segue chat and panel into what I believe to be the best topic of today's show. I asked a question in our DMs, and I'll propose this question to the chat. And it's as simplistic in nature, but I think it has a lot of really deep thought to go into it. And that question is simply, what excites you about Xbox in 2026? Now, before I hand over the microphone to the guys and I get the chat involved, I want to give you my thoughts and theories on this. Okay? If you take the last couple of years, right, and I'm going to start at 2023, and you look at what Xbox has done with Starfield, even a dud like, for instance, Redfall. Redfall came out. I mean, I put a significant amount of time into it, but I know the game was broken. It certainly wasn't what everybody wanted. It's fine, right? But if you go back to 2023, and that's where we start. They had a pretty freaking good year in 23. They had an even better year in 2024. And last year, depending on who you ask, they gave and released a baker's dozen worth of games from indie, small titles, from Double Fine to big behemoths, right? In Call of Duty. They delivered 13 games. And now we're currently in 2026, ladies and gentlemen. And just looking at what we already know is confirmed to be this year, it's safe to say that in the 25th anniversary of Xbox as a platform is going to have its best year pretty much ever, right? And again, folks, walk with me on this. They are releasing the trinity of what made Xbox who and what it is. A new Halo, a new Gears, and a new Forza. But they're also, on top of that, giving you an original title from Double Fine in Kiln. You're getting Modern Warfare 4 from Infinity Ward later this year. And oh, by the way, they're relaunching Fable. I mean, and that's just what we know. Like, there could be Clockwork Revolution. There could be other titles that they didn't even announce. Maybe a prototype remaster. Maybe we get this year the Fallout 3 remastered. You know, maybe next year, it's something to look forward to this June when, if they announce it, we could be getting Fallout New Vegas remade from the ground up the same way Oblivion was. So my whole long-winded point here is, if you're talking about games for Xbox, look no further than 2026. But you see, that's not where it starts and ends, ladies and gentlemen, because not only are they the best publisher of games in the business today, they are paving a way for the future with hardware. Last year, we got a pair of handhelds, one of which I own and I use pretty much every day. As a matter of fact, yesterday evening, I was hanging out on the couch with Mrs. Boom, watching our, stuff that we like to watch. I think we were watching a new K-drama series. And what was I doing? I was playing Replaced the Demo, which, by the way, is potentially a Game of the Year title. If you didn't know, go play that game. You can download it on Steam. I'm playing it on my ROG Xbox Ally X, and it runs fantastic. But let's just take a second to focus on the future of hardware. Last year, we got a pair of handhelds, and they are beasts of a machine, right? Gave us a kind of a glimpse, Chaos Lounge, into what the future of, the one box to play everything looks and acts like. This year, and again, this is a rumor, we might actually get an OEM device, whether it be from Lenovo, Asus, Alienware. It might actually happen, because we learned yesterday that Xbox and Microsoft specifically might actually not have to pay the tariffs on the chips for these devices. That story comes the way of Windows Central, and you might be asking, why them? Not because they made a deal with the government. We know that the tariffs are kind of pushed to the side when it comes to chips for PC. And what is the next Xbox, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to be a PC first device. So if we look down the road, not only is Xbox delivering some of the best games in the business and have one of the most powerful platforms when it comes to first-party games, they're also going to be delivering hardware potentially this year, and a brand new Xbox that is going to be the most different piece of hardware we have seen in gaming in 25 plus years, giving you the ability to not only play your Xbox games, but you're going to be able to play GOG, you're going to be able to play Epic Game Store, Steam, and a bunch of others. But you see, that's again, not where it starts and stops, Chaos Lounge. I want to bring you in a second, but I want to talk about Xbox Game Pass, because the one thing that gets overlooked is every game I just mentioned will be in that service that you pay for. That service laps what they do over at Nintendo and laps what they do over at PlayStation. As a matter of fact, here's an interesting tidbit. I saw some people from PlayStation, and they could be gamers, they could be trolls, I don't know, getting excited that Spider-Man 2 was finally coming to their top tier service. Folks, that's Xbox on a daily basis. No one needs to celebrate it. You just go and you download the games and it's there. But these are PlayStation players that are starving for something new in their service, and they're getting excited about a game that's years old. See, this is what I'm talking about. So when people try to sell you on how Game Pass isn't of value, I beg to differ, but I want to bring in Chaos Lounge. I know I've been a little long-winded, and I apologize for that, but I had to get my point across. Why are you excited for Xbox in 2026? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that. For me, it's new hardware, man. I think 2026 is when we're finally going to see maybe glimpses of what the Magnus is going to be. The OEM that's supposed to arrive this year might not have the semi-custom SoC chip that will allow Xbox backwards compatibility, because AMD said they'll probably be ready for that by the end of this year. So production will probably kick in 2027. So I think Microsoft is probably going to hold off for that. So I think the OEM machines will probably be with the full-on dashboard, FSC,
a full screen experience that you get currently with your ROG Ally and Ally X.
Yeah, so I think they'll probably have that nailed down for those. But it'll be I'm excited for new hardware. I always get excited for that sort of stuff. That's never going to change. In terms of gaming, Gears is hopefully going to arrive this year. I'm really looking forward to that. Fable is another one that I'm hoping they do the game justice. We've seen time and time again where the games look amazing, and I'm just hoping it delivers. But for me, it's going to be the hardware. That's for me what I'm looking forward to most. I want to see what this next Xbox is going to be. Is it going to be a curated device? Even though it's a PC, it can still be a curated device, which I think it should be more or less, because for the 2027 version that Microsoft is releasing, because it then gives developers something to focus on, so they can tailor it to the next generation Xbox as well. But yeah, for me, I'm really excited for that. Want to see what they're going to do with Game Pass, because if it is going down the route of PC, that means Xbox Live probably won't be needed anymore, because there's no reason to actually pay for that aspect of it. Are they going to add something to the bundle for that in order to make the service even more valuable, or are we going to see a price cut? I don't know. It's interesting to see what they're going to do with PC Game Pass as well. There's rumors of that combining with premium as well. So there's a lot of kind of pieces and branches of Microsoft right now that are just all moving in tandem and just waiting to kind of converge on that kind of nexus point where it all just fits together. And that's what I'm really excited for, once it all comes together and we see exactly what that finished picture actually looks like. Because I think that's going to be really important for Microsoft going forward, how they actually sell that. And it's going to be really interesting. But gaming-wise, we know that there's loads of games coming. I'm expecting to see quite a few surprises for the summer, because Aaron Greenberg has said that what we saw at the Developers Direct is just, almost like a footnote of the games coming. There's loads that are going to be shown, and they said they can't really reveal anything. So maybe we'll see that Sonic game that uses the Microsoft servers to play that Super Sonic game, whatever they gonna call it. But I'm expecting to see some really nice surprises. And it's been a long time since things haven't leaked, so I really hope games and stuff don't leak because it kind of ruins the excitement a bit. So yeah, for me, I want to see some games that I wasn't expecting to come out and seeing them for the first time. That stuff that I'm not thinking about now, but I would like to see. Maybe like a Banjo and Kazooie, they might just drop that as a trailer and send everyone mental. That sort of thing.
I'm probably gonna curl up into a ball and cry in the audience if that happens. Just FYI, ladies and gentlemen.
Stuff like that. I want to be excited for gaming. Currently, when you're looking at what's out there, you've got one camp hating on one, the other camp hating on the other, and everyone's just mudslinging as much as they humanly possibly can. When at the end of the day, we're just here to have fun and get lost in these worlds that these developers are creating for us to have fun in and enjoy the games and, keep moving and enjoying the hobby that we have. So, I just want to be excited for gaming again. And I think 2026 can actually do that on all sides of the spectrum.
And I agree. It's funny. You made mention of the potential of Xbox Live, or at least the paywall being, brought down. That's a rumor. And I've talked about that before. I've said this, folks, and I'm here to tell you right now, and I'll say it again. If the next pair of Xbox consoles, home consoles, turn out to be this PC first device, whether that be their own device in 27 or a potential OEM device released later this year, and they bring down the paywall where you don't need, just like PC, you don't need Xbox Live to play multiplayer. I'm here to tell you right now, Sony is in trouble because there is going to come a point. Now, I get it. I know that we've heard the rhetoric about, we lost this generation, and being that, Phil actually said this, the worst generation for them to lose was the PS4, Xbox One generation. Why? It was the start of the digital frontier, right? So you have people that have digital libraries, right? And they're not going to abandon these digital games. And that's very fair. That no one's expecting that. But when you present the next hardware or the next pieces of hardware, whether that be from Microsoft or OEM devices from Lenovo and Alienware and Dell and Asus, and it gives you an open platform that really looks at the PC gamer and is inviting them in, right? You've heard me say this a lot in the last couple of weeks. We learned that 99.3% of PC gamers have low to mid-range hardware. What that ultimately means, and again, this is it's just a thought, but if you are someone that owns a piece of hardware that's hit its wall, so to speak, and you want something new, and as a gamer, listen, our budgets aren't limitless. A card, a 4090, a 5090, even a mid-range 50 series card is thousands of dollars, whether that be $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000. And who the hell can afford that in 2026? I know I certainly can't. So what's going to potentially happen is these mid-range, these devices that are going to come in every ilk, whether, and you've heard this, you've heard the rumors. There's ideas out there. There have been, discussions out in the ether about Xbox offering budgeted OEM devices to high end. So you as the consumer, your wallet limit is going to tell you what you can buy. And if you can buy this one box and it plays all of your Steam games and all your games from Epic and Good Old Games, and oh, by the way, your entire Xbox library that goes back 4 generations, you might invest in Xbox because it's not really just the box underneath the TV. It's a PC that looks and acts like a console. And I'm sorry to say, and I know there's going to be a lot of pushback for some people that are going to listen to this and say, no one's going to buy an Xbox. It sucks. I don't necessarily think so. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why Sony pushed their box back to as far as 2030 is because they realized releasing a PlayStation 6 that's just more powerful than a PlayStation 5 and doesn't do anything new isn't going to cut the mustard, ladies and gentlemen. It's just not when there's a box out there that plays everything. But you know what? With all of that said, let's bring in General Spartan and get his thoughts and his theories. Sir, why are you excited for Xbox in 2026?
Well, from what I see of the landscape, first I'll start with games because this is going to be a two-fronted answer. First, the games. Okay, we got Xbox Game Pass, so we're going to have Halo, Gears, Forza, and a lot of other unannounced games. And remember, BlizzCon is later this fall, and they're talking about a possible new genre in the StarCraft universe. And you just had Diablo 30th anniversary yesterday, where they revealed the Warlock class for Diablo 2 Warlock and Diablo 4 in their mobile Diablo Immortal. That's one part. But you have a loaded Game Pass that's going to be throughout the rest of the year. The main also part, Xbox Play Anywhere titles. So I just saw in the Xbox store like 3 games that I just noticed that were Xbox Play Anywhere. I mean, I already pre-ordered Crimson Desert for next month.
Yeah, me too.
But I saw No Law that was revealed at the Keelys, that cyberpunk-like game. Tides of Annihilation, that extremely epic third person action RPG that's coming. And then I saw another one that's coming in June. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, which is a 2D HD action RPG. That's also Xbox Play Anywhere. And I was like, those are types of games. These are games I would invest in because they're going to be Play Anywhere. You buy it once, you can play them on the Xbox ROG Ally X or your ROG Ally. And then you could also play it on your next-gen Xbox, which brings to my second part of this answer. You're going to have this one open source box with GOG, with Epic Game Store, with Steam, with your Xbox store. And you also going to have your OEMs for your PC users that can't get to the 50 series cards or your 40 series cards because they're like $3,000 or higher. And people's budgets are much tighter now. With people got to deal with mortgage. People got to deal with car payments. People's parents have to deal with daycare or this thing, dealing with their families. Then but I say with the next Xbox, if you want to make sure it comes out successfully, like you did with the 360, bar the red ring of death problem, release. I in 2027 if they release this, because I'd say because I rephrase myself. Release at a time. Release because you're gonna have a non-tariff problem. Probably you're not gonna have to do it. Tariffs. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, let me finish what Can I finish what I was saying?
Yeah, you gotta do your thing, brother. Continue.
Okay. Because like Sarah Bond said, this is gonna be a curated premium experience. So I go by that this is going to be a monster console. It's going to be a very significant jump like you had from OG Xbox to 360. So like remember Battlefield 2 Modern Combat on OG Xbox and then it was on 360?
Yes.
So I think of an insane jump. but I think it's going to be like, say, priced at, say, if you want to have it successful, between 800 to 1,000, but have it enough that the casuals can get in there, and also have a way when you pre-order these consoles that you have measures to counter those scalpers, like they scalped all those Series X's and S's during the pandemic, because that was a massive problem during then. I was just lucky to get my Series X. But I say right now, Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Greenberg, and Ronald, they are already onto something that they are about to come out with this next gen, firing on all cylinders. You're going to have the games, you're going to have the console, and you're going to have the messaging, a PC box that doesn't have Xbox Live. Now you got the casuals in, because those are a lot of the gamers. You're not going to pay for a subscription to play your Call of Duty online. You're not going to pay for a subscription to play Diablo, or if you have Game Pass, say you bring World of Warcraft to the console. You don't have to. Your Game Pass sub could probably pay for your World of Warcraft subscription, and you have all these factors piling in. Sony is in absolute deep trouble, and you're going to also have a 3-year jump on them. It's like winner, chicken dinner, easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I do think there's something to be said about Xbox hitting on all cylinders. If you just, and we're going to bring Chaos Lounge in because he wants to address somebody in the chat, so we'll let him do that in a hot second. But if you just look at what Xbox is doing in regards to being the biggest publisher in gaming, they are delivering on first-party content, but not just for their own box. Now, granted, 2-3 years ago, right before they hit with hey, we're putting games everywhere, I was in my feelings, and I still am. Like I said, I understand the business and why they're doing it, but we would all like Xbox, now that they're hitting on all cylinders, to have everything exclusive. Well, that's not the path anymore. So the path that they're walking is, yes, they are the biggest publisher in gaming. They do have the most iconic franchises ever, and most of those franchises are being released in their 25th anniversary, which is bananas. But besides being the biggest publisher in gaming, that not only supplies first-party games for Xbox, they're putting games on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch 2, which is a really big deal for the company. And that's just one of the 3 big things that make Xbox the biggest publisher in gaming. Number 2 is their service. You know, like Netflix, like Amazon Prime, like Hulu, like any of your favorite places to watch your shows and film, they have the best service in gaming. It is, yes, it did go up to $30. And I do challenge you, chat, don't pay $30. There are places where you can still get it for $20. And sometimes, like, you know, our partnership with ENEBA, you can get it for even cheaper, right? ENEBA is someone that we're working with. And at my last check, they had a 3-month card here for the United States for $52 for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. That's pretty good. That's under $20, right? And now, is it the $8 or $9 that we were paying 2-3 years ago? No, but it's certainly cheaper than the $20 per month or the $30 that you would pay to be, you know, to have them take it out of your bank account. But besides having the best first-party games, besides having the best service, they have a forward-thinking plan for the future of the box, and it's going to be so freaking different than anybody could have imagined. Yes, it's going to be like a PC, but for the OGs like me who really just want a console, that plug-and-play experience that we know and love, you're going to get that in these new boxes, both the OEM and Microsoft's own hardware next year. So it is a winner, chicken dinner. And like I said, if you're not an Xbox fan, I hear you. Play on PlayStation, play on Switch. But I'm here to tell you that if you are an Xbox player and you do subscribe and you are going to buy the hardware and you do like their first party games, folks, you are winning. And I'll leave it at that. But Chaos Lounge, let's bring you back in before we get everyone out of here, and you can reiterate your point.
Something that Navy Shadow said. Okay, how about why is the ROG Ally breaking? So from Windows Central, Jennifer Young made an article. I'm not sure if you've read it yet.
I did read it, yes.
Xbox LIX basically broke down. It wasn't powering on or anything. And apparently Asus are having high volume repairs. They've got a high volume RMA situation going on. Now, obviously, the way she kind of made that title look was that a bunch of ROG allies are breaking down. But it's not. It was literally just her ROG ally. And the actual, the high volume was just due to a company-wide, problem with Asus and their company-wide hardware failing. But it's really amusing that a lot of people have taken that as all the ROG Xbox LIXs are breaking down and they're the ones that are causing the mass volume of repairs. And I saw a bunch of PlayStation fans immediately cheering on this and laughing, and they didn't even bother reading the article where Jennifer actually put inside the article, it may just be isolated to me because looking on Reddit and everywhere else for that's supporting of the device, or even on Asus's own Reddit themselves, no one is talking about having any issues with the handheld device. So she was isolated in this one, and she made that perfectly clear. But people just read the byline and immediately went Xbox bad, Omega low kind of thing. So yeah, it's not really a case of it being a widespread problem. It's just one. I've heard that it may be 2 out of the hundreds of thousands, or whatever the amount that they've actually sold. And yeah, it's actually a company-wide issue where they're having a high return volume of their products. So
okay,
yeah, that myth should just go away.
Yeah, I saw the story. I did see that the way it was worded was a little bit provocative, I guess you can say. It
was clickbaity.
It a pinch, yeah, for sure. But it's fine. Listen, if you again, listen. I understand the business, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of these, like, I do this for fun, right? I don't, anything that we get from YouTube, we put away for our giveaways. We take a piece of it. It goes away into the house fund. And when we need new equipment and the programs that, keep this, the show running, they're expensive. We have Canva, we have, you name it. We probably run about 5 or 6 different programs. They're all in the hundreds of dollars per year, and they're subscription based. So we got to pay for these things in order to do the videos, to do the video editing, do the thumbnails, to do the advertising. So that's where a lot of the money goes, right? So I do this for fun. We do have some partnerships. Like, I'm going to be doing a review. 8-Bit Ditto or 8-Bitto reached out to us, and they sent me a controller, which I'm going to review. So we're going to potentially have a partnership with them. We're working with Valari. We're working with ENEBA. There's quite a few, actual business things. So when I see these clickbaitery titles, I understand the business. I don't like these titles because I do think they're doing exactly what they're expected to do. That they clickbait you in, and you read it, and you're angry, and like, oh my god, what do you mean the series is shit? It just is what it is. But look, let me get caught up on super chats, and we will get everyone on out of here. So we have a very generous $10 super chat from Nightwolf 3186. Like I said before, he's been with us since inception. So Nightwolf, thank you so much for hanging out as you always do. And thank you for the generosity, brother. He goes, 2026 is peak happiness. Mario Tennis Fever, RE9, WWE 2026, Crimson Desert, MLB 26, 007, let's see, Lego Batman, LOTDK Phantom Blade, GTA or Phantom Blade Zero, GTA Fable, Gears, Halo Remake, and Forza, and whatever unannounced. Look, I'll say this: like, I support everything. Phantom Blade Zero, day one for PlayStation. A reason for me to turn on the box. Wolverine, freaking day one. There's not even a question, right? And and again, I'm not buying Soros. It's not because I'm trying to be mean or anything. It's just not my type of game. If the original one comes to Xbox, I'll buy it. I'll play it there. Soros, we'll see what happens with that. MLB, not my bag. I'm not a really baseball guy, so it's not going to really do anything for me. So that's something I won't get. But everything else in that list, bro, the Crimson Desert, bought already. I don't know, and I'm glad that game is not an MMO. That's single player. I don't know how much I'm going to get into the game because it seems massive, man. But I'm very excited for that. It doesn't matter where you game, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you're gaming on PC, whether you're playing on Xbox, PS5, or even Switch 2, there's so many games. It's almost to the point of ridiculousness. Like, there are so many games this year coming out. I don't know how you're going to have the time to play, to be honest. So thank you so much for the generosity, brother. We also have It's Me, the Broke Boy. What's up, brother? How nice to see you here, Will, as always. Appreciate the generosity, as always. Will goes on to say, and of course, with that article, all of a sudden, the PlayStation fanboy started agreeing that I guess it's an Xbox. And that's very interesting. I did see that. Oh, you see Xbox is shit. But wasn't it not an Xbox? And now that it's supposedly failing, it is. It's so weird. It's so goalpost moving for a lot of these trolls. He says if it's good, it's not an Xbox. If it's bad, it's an Xbox. And unfortunately, that's the case. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. I got a ton of stuff to do on the back end, and I would actually like to play some games today. I've got to get back to Replace. I got to get back to Call of Duty Season 2. And I got to continue on my hunt for Chivos. I think I'm at 11K for this month so far, and today's only the 12th. So I'm averaging a pinch under 1,000 per day. And I'm still in 4th freaking place. Like, what the? I am dealing with some serious Chivo hunters that are really putting me to shame. If you didn't know, last month I closed out at 35,525 Chivos, and my goal is to hit 500,000 this year, and I'm on a good path. So I got to get some Chivos today on top of playing regular games. I know it seems a little ridiculous at this point. I'm never going to be the man with 1 million. At least I don't think so at this point. But I've been really hunting these Chivos at least the last couple of months. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone that dropped a super chat, channel membership, and gifted sub. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate the incredible generosity. And let's get everyone out here. So we'll start first with General Spartan. Brother, sell the brand. Where can people follow you on social media? What else you got going on, dude?
Well, I'm also on Retro Renegades with Graphic God, Jiggle Kruken, and
Nice.
20 on
Excellent.
Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Central. You can find me on Twitter on the old Twitter machine at General Spartan 27 on Twitter, General Spartan 56 on Xbox Live. Well, Gen Spartan 56 on Xbox Live, General Spartan 56 on PS5, and Gen Spartan on Switch 2. If anyone wants to clan up with me for Battlefield or COD or Halo, basically just hit me up.
Okay, nice, brother.
Otherwise, even then, you can also do it in Diablo 2 if y'all play that. But
nice. Well, all your information is going to be in the show notes. If you want to follow him on the socials, or obviously, or get some gaming time in with him, especially on some of the multiplayer stuff, all his info will be there. Chaos Lounge, brother, thanks so much for joining us here today. Congratulations on the puppy for the family. I'm sure the kids are really going to have fun with that. Sell your brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, follow you on the socials?
Yeah, the kids are still upstairs with the little pup. They're not coming downstairs, which is making things a lot more quiet for me. But hey, everyone, if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Twitter, Chaos Prime Z on social media. I post a lot of random stuff with games and stuff like that, upcoming news. On my YouTube channel, I cover news. I do Let's Plays. I do kind of news podcasts as well on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, yeah, you can follow me there at youtube.com/at the Chaos Lounge. We are trying to get to 10,000 subs this year. So with a bit of luck, we might actually make it.
Nice, brother. Well, great to hear you. And of course, all his information will, like General Spartan, be in the show notes. So it's simply just click away and subscribe. And I'm sure he would greatly appreciate any new subs because, again, you know, getting to the next milestone, and for him, 10K is a big deal. That's a really, really big deal, just like it was for us. And we actually did that thanks to the incredibleness of the Iron Lords. If you remember, we joined on a Sunday. And thanks to the Iron Lords of gaming, some of my favorite, people in the world, I consider them to be family, helped us cross the 10K milestone. That was a really, really big show. I think we were like 50 or 70 away, and live on the air, we get it. So it's always great that, to have the help. And of course, if you want to see Chaos Lounge hit that milestone of 10K, go and subscribe to this man for sure. But that's going to do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Breakfast with Boom. One story I'm working on right now is something that's coming out of GDC, and it's some advertising that came the way of I think it was Brett Bingham that sent this to me, and it's of course courtesy of Idle Sloth. Xbox at GDC 2026. They're going to be there from March 9th to the 13th. The Xbox themselves are going to be hosting over 30 sessions. And that includes Building the Future of Xbox with Jason Ronald. Oh, my God. Yes. The Wizard. Press start. Get your PC game ready for Xbox day one. And they're going to have a DirectX briefing, bringing console-level GPU tools to Windows and a bunch of other things. And it says, their advertisement says, built for what's next. The future of Xbox starts now. And it has a bunch of PCs, it has a handheld and a Series X in the picture. I'm telling you, what they're going to show there, I have no idea. We're going to speculate tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tune in for that. And, of course, big thank you once again for everyone that took the time to hang out here. And, of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. He'd say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.